we are past the halfway mark of November, and the hurricane season officially comes to an end on November the 30th. And we did all right this year. We haven't had the kind of issues that we have had uh, within the last several years. It seems like there's been more um, hurricane activity on the Gulf Coast, and we get a lot of the remnants of that. But fortunately, that didn't happen this year, and I guess everything pales in shade to the January 13th tornado that we experienced. But things have changed, or it seems that this has been a normal year, or what used to be normal so far, and it's hard to say why and what. Who is to say? Is it climate change? Well, my thing is, I think the Earth is constantly changing, so nobody can really control what happens with that, but we can be prepared. Try to be as prepared as we can for power outages and trees falling and flooding and some of the normal things that take place weather-wise. Our telephone lines are down this morning. We don't have any telephone, so you can't call us. We should be back up with our phones hopefully by tomorrow. But we are live on Facebook. And if you want to get to the Facebook page, you can go to selmapostherald.com, and right under the slogan, our slogan, History in the Making, you're going to see the Veterans Day program is still sitting there. And under that, you'll see the sports tab, and then you'll see the WHBB logo, where it's also saying the live stream link on YouTube. Click here, and that will bring you to the live stream on YouTube, which has been doing quite well. In fact, we're getting better every day. It gets a little bit better, and we've got some things planned for the future that I will be sharing with you in the near future. Congratulations to Southside and Maplesville, actually. The Southside Panthers, though, made history this year with their undefeated season during the regular season, and they are presently at undefeated. And this past Friday, they beat Cottage Hill 39-22 in the second round of the Alabama High School Athletic Association playoffs. And we certainly wish Southside the best. Go Panthers. They're going to play again this Friday. Ambassador Bruce Holmes, sports director on the selmapostherald.com website, interviewed head coach Charles Moody. Coach Moody says to all people in Selma and Dallas County, come out and support the Southside High School Panthers football team Friday night at the Panther Stadium. So a big boost, winning boost, good positive news for our area, for Dallas County. And we certainly want to do everything we can do to support the Southside Panthers. So how do you feel this morning? How was your weekend? Certainly hope you had a good weekend. I know there was a lot that went on over the weekend, and I didn't cover anything this weekend. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on whether or not I have committed to something else to some other project, or and so if I give my word, then 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna do what, I said I was gonna do. So I was not able to cover some things, this weekend. I noticed over the weekend, that there was, a funeral. I didn't know that Mr. Fernandez Mora had passed away, and so I gave my condolences yesterday during gospel, but again, my condolences to the Mora family, um, neighbors. It's a big family. They are, always have been, friends, family, extended family, Mora family. My condolences, to them and the loss of their, loved one. And let's see here. So a lot going on. We're getting ready to go into the, holiday season, of course. Thanksgiving is next week, and thank goodness with the uh, with the SNAP payments, aka food stamps. I understand that Alabama residents did receive their uh, food supplements on Friday. The 14th is the day that they were scheduled for, and as I understand it, uh, my knowledge, people did receive their allowance, so that's a good thing. That's certainly better than not having any at all. And so, hopefully, the extra um, food that many of our food pantries have stocked up on in the event that they didn't have, or they did not, people did not receive their food allotments or food stamps on their EBT cards. So hopefully that means that those food pantries can hold on to some of that food for the next emergency. And hopefully there won't be anything anytime soon like this. What we don't know, because actually January 30th is the deadline. This government opening only good until January 30th, and then it is possible we could go through it again. Hopefully not. Hopefully these guys can sit down and work out some sort of an arrangement. But as I said last week, healthcare is an issue that this nation has been grappling with for a very long time. And so that tells me that it's complicated. You've got all these different players. Of course, we know we have healthcare providers, we have insurance companies, we have pharmaceutical companies, and each one of these entities, their goal or necessity is to make a profit, and they all have people that represent them and their agenda. And at the end of the day, their agenda is profit. But now, President Trump did make a deal with the pharmaceutical companies and Ozempic and the what is it, GPL ones. That has gone into effect. So there are significant savings that people are experiencing as a result of that deal. That's actually happened, and also and again the SNAP food stamps have been made it for November. Nobody talks about it. People forget that October really. Well, the shutdown started at the end of September. So that meant that there were no food stamps available for the month of October had not the administration put the bill. And they said, well, November, we're out of money. We only have $5 billion, and you need, I think, double digit billions. And so fortunately, 8 Democrats stepped up to the plate in the Senate to get it passed and to open the government. 6 Democrats in the House with Republicans, although Republican majority had the necessary votes to reaffirm the bill as it came back to Congress. So that's one emergency uh, averted, if you will, and we'll see what happens coming up in January. Hopefully, we won't continue to go through this. And I keep hearing different. I've heard a couple of things, and I have to confirm it again. I don't like to do that. I don't do that social media thing, right? Where I just take the word on what I hear. I have to confirm. And sometimes it sounds right, sometimes it doesn't. But I believe it's being reported that this last bill that was voted into law and signed by President Trump has food stamp benefits good until September of next year. So that should be an issue if they shut down. And there are a few other uh, positions that will be paid even if the government shuts down again. That's covered for a while. We'll see, if that is the case or not. But it's a very complicated situation. A lot of power playing and posturing, at work. And speaking of which, I think this morning I want to do something a little different. At the time I do surf the web, and I like to see what other people are thinking about what's going on nationally and feel. But before I do that, Montgomery has had 55 murders. Birmingham, I don't have the exact count, but Birmingham, every weekend it seems like their murder rate is going up as well. So that hasn't stopped happening in Birmingham or Montgomery. And of course, we've had some murders recently. We're not where we were. We haven't, this is not our worst year. But, 10, 15 in a town our size is too many. And certainly 55 in Montgomery, and it's not like uh, it's all gang related or drug related murders. A lot of these murders or killings are domestic, boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, relatives, friends have gotten mad with each other over something simple. And instead of talking it out, choose to shoot someone and take a life, you know. And so I don't know what it's going to take to get us on the same page. But the young lady that was here on Friday said something very interesting that and I don't know to what extent or how it plays out in terms of numbers. But she said that a lot of people, once they're incarcerated, when they get out, have mental health issues, and that makes a lot of sense because you're probably traumatized, depending on what you've gone through, especially if a person who is not used to a life of crime or not used to a prison setting goes in and when God forbid it, if someone is innocent of what they've been accused of or been convicted of. So there's no telling what kind of a mindset they have when they get out. Now, so the question, my first question becomes, well, do we have any services for people when they get out of prison to help them readjust to society? I think we do have some programs now that are getting to prop up for what they call recidivism. I believe both State Representative Chestnut and State Senator Stewart have been working with that facility in Perry County that was a prison that is being used to train people who have been incarcerated for jobs training. And I understand it's doing quite well. I've got to go down there one day and see what's going on and do a story on that by itself. That would be worth it to see a successful program that is helping turn lives around. I think that those are the kind of programs we need to zero in on and focus on, and then trying to develop uh, measurable strategies. I say measurable because Anybody can open an organization up and say, "This is what we're going to do," and get funded. But if you go and check back a year later or 2 years later, and you find that they haven't done anything, and then you have some organizations who are not incorporated, who are not legally nonprofits, and get more things, they're getting things done. They can't get funded because they don't have the legal structure. Sometimes it gets real crazy. Let's take this break. I'll be back with more right after this.
Visits all 50 states. According to America's health rankings, over 12% of adults in Alabama have been diagnosed with the disease. That's well above the national average. That's why we're spreading the word about Alabama vascular specialists here on the radio. It's also why AVS is growing to better serve patients of this area. Dr. Ralph Riddick has recently added Dr. Bruce Giddens to staff, and now AVS proudly works with Dr. Richard Tan, who has just arrived from New York. If you or someone you love suffers from high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or obesity, they could be on their way to very serious problems with their vascular system if not treated. Talk to your medical provider about AVS, Alabama Vascular Specialist, with offices in Montgomery and Selma, 334-801-9952, online at alabamavascularspecialist.com.
Every season is a great season to have a Cotton State Barn. From holiday stores to spring and summer yard work, there is a Cotton State Barn perfect for you. It's always zero down, no credit check, free delivery, and low monthly rent-to-own payments on Alabama's top-rated #1 selling portable barns. And don't forget, 90 days same as cash. Cotton State Barns are built in Alabama for Alabama. Visit the website cottonstatebarns.com to see all the models, including brand new styles and sizes. Take a tour of 19 different models, styles, and sizes, and find a dealer near you at cottonstatebarns.com. It's the highest quality and most affordable storage solution with the industry's longest front-to-back 6-year warranty. Zero down, no credit check. Low payments and free delivery anywhere in Alabama. And it's always 90 days, same as cash. Cotton State Barns, built in Alabama for Alabama. CottonStateBarns.com.
Not all models qualify for zero down and restrictions may apply.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Williams of WSFA 12 News. Here's what's happening this Monday. Montgomery police are investigating a shooting that happened.
I'm Jumbo Ball from Marion Junction.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Williams of WSFA 12 News. Here's what's happening this Monday. Montgomery police are investigating a shooting that happened on Fairground Road. A minor died in that gunfire. Police are now searching for the suspect. It happened around 5 on Friday. Neither a suspect or motive have been revealed. That juvenile died on the scene. In South Alabama, a man was shot in an apartment complex on the University of South Alabama's campus. Authorities say that shooting happened Sunday evening. University employees say they're working with Mobile police to increase patrols around the campus. Police did say it was not a student at South Alabama. The holiday shopping season is officially here, and you have a chance to make sure every child has a present under the tree thanks to the Angel Tree Program. WSFA 12 News is once again teaming up with the Salvation Army for the Angel Tree Program. Now through December 12th, you can go to the shops at East Chase, the Lake Clinic at Prattville, and Big Enterprises to pick up an angel off the tree and buy gifts. I'm Jonathan Williams with your morning headlines.
Year 1490 WHBB Monday weather forecast. Unseasonably warm this week. Sunshine will be in the mid to upper 70s today with a light breeze. Tonight, partly cloudy, down to around 48 for overnight low. A little warmer tomorrow, sunshine and prevailing. Some of those fluffy white clouds will top out near 80. Clear tomorrow night, upper 50s for the overnight low. For Wednesday, we're sunny again, still dry, a high of 82. Wednesday night, partly cloudy, mid-50s. Thursday, partly sunny, low 80s once again. Next chance to rain, just in case you're curious, on Friday. And that is your latest weather. Have a great day, a fantastic week, and thank you for listening to AM 1490.
1490 WHBB. Good morning on this Monday morning, November the 17th, 2024. And I said, like I said, sometimes I kind of surf the web to see what is going on in other communities. This is, I'm going to play a few of them. And I'm going to start with some comments that were made to the Raleigh, North Carolina City Council over the summer. This is a North Carolina trash driver truck who is making a presentation to their city council.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, residents, and people of this great city. My name is Charlene Parker. I'm Equipment Operator 3 at Solid Waste Services. And we come before you not with anger in our hearts, but with urgency in our voices because the time is. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, residents, and people of this great city. My name is Charlene Parker. I'm Equipment Operator 3 at Solid Waste Services. And we come before you not with anger in our hearts, but with urgency in our voices because the time has come to speak plainly about the conditions we face and the dignity that we deserve. We are the men and women who rise before the sun, who collect your trash, who keep your neighborhoods clean, and who carry the burden of the city's waste on our backs every single day. But even as we carry that burden, our calls for help go unanswered, our warnings are dismissed, and our worth is ignored. We drive trucks that fail us, trucks without working mirrors, trucks without safe brakes, trucks that break down before breakfast, and still we are told to get it done. We wait hours with no backup, no plan, no word, and then we are blamed for not doing enough. We are asked to perform the impossible and punished when we fall short. We speak up and we are silenced. We ask questions and we are lied to. We serve with pride and we are passed over, while friends and family of leadership are lifted up into roles they have not earned over drivers who have given years of service, who have spotless records, and who know this work better than anyone. And let me say this loud and clear to the leadership of our department. When you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, they stop being mistakes and become who you are. And we will not stand by while you turn a failing system into our reality. But I say tonight, we are not invisible, we are not disposable, we are not the problem, we are the heartbeat of this city. We do not come asking for handouts, we come asking for fairness, for safety, for truth, for respect. We come asking that the chaos be brought to order, that our leadership lead with purpose, and that our work be met with the dignity it deserves. We do not wish to strike, we do not wish to walk away, we wish only to serve and to be heard. But if the city turns a blind eye, if this council does not act, then you will wake up to a city that cannot run, not because we refuse to work, but because we are pushed beyond the point of return. Let us not wait for that day. Let us fix what's broken while there's still time. And legacy isn't about titles. It's about what you leave behind in others. Thank you.
Raleigh, North Carolina, that was addressing the.
And don't make the mistake that most of your mothers and fathers made.
In Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm mindful of the fact that Dr. King, the last campaign that he was a part of, was when he answered the call of garbage workers in Memphis. And it was as a result of the Memphis campaign that resulted in his death. And so, and he was at the time trying to improve the conditions of work and salaries. Back in 1968, trying to get benefits for the workers of Memphis. And so these issues that we're dealing with now are not new, and especially healthcare. And so, and I say that and emphasize that so that we don't get caught between all of these narratives and the sense of urgency that has been placed on the general public when there has not been a sense of urgency in our federal government in terms of our lawmakers. The only sense of urgency I hear and see many times is to get ready for the next election. Who's going to control Congress and who's going to be in the White House, which party. And so I'll just bring it up. We need to be mindful, regardless of what parties we belong to, and understand that these narratives are designed and garnered in many cases towards who will be in power. But for me, again, at the end of the day, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 came about because African Americans were not allowed to register to vote in overwhelming numbers or participate in the 60s and before up until 1965, or really after Reconstruction, because there was another period of time, right after slavery, when there was a level of participation. That's another story. And as I've asked someone that I know who is politically aware and astute and very well informed and technically educated in the sciences of political science. And the question I asked that person was, when the foot soldiers marched across the bridge on Bloody Sunday and ultimately the Selma to Montgomery March and made it to Montgomery and all of the events that took place that led up to the signing of the Voting Rights Act, did they march and fight to determine who would control Congress? Or was it to get the right to register, to enforce voter registration, getting registered to vote, then participating? And unfortunately, you have a lot of people who have chosen not to vote after all the blood that was shed, all the sacrifice, all of the struggles that took place to get to ensure that local people, local citizens could register to vote and participate in local government and have a voice in determining who their city council people are and who their county commissioners are and who their state representative and state senators are, and have a voice in local politics that enact policies, and I use that word, policies, that can impact the quality of life in an area. That's the bottom line. All politics is local. Let's take this break, and then I'm going to share another soundbite with you. I haven't heard it myself, but I like the title. We'll be back with more right after this.
I'm Jimbo Hall from Marion Junction, Alabama. It means a lot to be named Alabama's Catfish Farmer of the Year. My family is proud to provide healthy, sustainable fish to your family's table and to create good jobs for Alabama. Always look for the U.S. Farm-Raised Catfish seal to make sure you're getting your best. Thank you for supporting local catfish farmers. Find recipes and restaurants at uscatfish.com.
If you're considering renovating your home, doing a restoration, or new home construction, call Steve Johnson at Renovation Plus, 334-412-1939. He's not a handyman. He's a master craftsman who does the job right the first time, with minimal disturbance keeping your home clean. Here's one of Steve's customers.
This is Sandra at Cornerstone. It just does wonderful work. Everyone that I have sent to and has been very pleased. And I do not recommend people normally because I'm always scared they won't produce what they say. But I have no worries recommending them.
Choose the right contractor from the start when it comes to a renovation, restoration, or home building project. Contact Steve Johnson at Renovation Plus, specializing in all phases of home repair, paint, and remodeling. 334-412-1939 for Renovation Plus.
Good morning, I'm Jasmine Williams of WSFA 12 News. Here's what's happening this Monday. Montgomery police are investigating a shooting that happened on Fairground Road. A minor died in that gunfire. Police are now searching for the suspect. It happened around 5 on Friday. Neither a suspect or motive have been revealed. That juvenile died on the scene. In South Alabama, a man was shot in an apartment complex on the University of South Alabama's campus. Authorities say that shooting happened Sunday evening. University employees say they're working with Mobile police to increase patrols around the campus. Police did say the victim was not a student at South Alabama. The holiday shopping season is officially here, and you have a chance to make sure every child has a present under the tree thanks to the Angel Tree Program. WSFA 12 News is once again teaming up with the Salvation Army for the Angel Tree Program. Now through December 12th, you can go to the shops at East Chase, the Wake Clinic in Prattville, and Pig Enterprises to pick up an angel off the tree and buy gifts. I'm Jasmine Williams with your morning headline.
1490 WHBB. Good morning. On this Monday morning, our telephones are down today. They should be back up by tomorrow. We are live on YouTube, the YouTube channel, and you can get there by going to selmapostherald.com on the homepage, and under our slogan, History in the Making, and the Veterans Day program, you'll see the sports tab and then the Viewpoint tab. You'll see the logo for WHBB, and just click on where it says YouTube live stream. Up next, I'm going to play a clip from Mark Levin, Life, Liberty, and Levin. I like Mr. Levin because he often does history lessons. He'll do some history lessons. He's a professor. You know, we forget about, many of us, I think, the origins of the Constitution and the origins of the American Revolution. You know, the colonists were, and the Constitution came about as the result of the kind of oppression and the kind of policies that the English government, the crown, was exercising on the colonists. And, you know, if we go back a little further, though, even before the United States was born, and really, if you go back a little bit before Christopher Columbus, you hear about a document called the Magna Carta. And the Magna Carta represented centuries of struggle of the common man, the common people not having any rights. And it was the result of their struggle to recognize human decency and to try and get a voice for the average person or the average man that was dealing with aristocracies and the king and queen, and you know, and you talk about oppressive governments, they really had to deal with oppression in terms of religion and speech. And to some extent, that is still going on with a lot of governments today. We don't have that problem as much as, because of our Constitution and the rights that we're guaranteed. But you know, none of this came about without bloodshed and without struggle and without people who were paying attention to the policies. I keep saying that word policies because that's what we're a victim of right now. The policies that we're coming from under is what's got us where we are and what we're having to try and get from under. But that being said, I want to hear what Mr. Thomas Sowell said, an African American, on Life, Liberty, and Levin. It's about 7 minutes. Let's see what he's talking about. He says, he's talking about why the left focuses on race. Why do they always talk about race? You know, well, I'm not going to, I want you to, let's listen to what he has to say, his analysis of why race is always being brought up. I'm curious to see what he has to say.
Welcome back, America. We're here with Dr. Thomas Sowell. The book is Social Justice Fallacies. I want to encourage you to go to Amazon.com and grab a copy. Any major bookstore should have a copy, and it is very readable, and it is worth reading. particularly now during these times. Dr. Soul, when we talk about equality, immediately race pops into mind. It's always about race, racial discrimination, about the founding of the nation, white dominant society, so forth and so on. And you make the case, and you've made this case throughout your life, but it's very poignant in your book, which is, wait a minute, of course this has some impact, but it's not the only thing that has an impact. But why, first of all, what other things have an impact? It's probably an infinite list of things. And secondly, why do they only focus on race on the left?
I guess it's because that's proven to be a politically a popular thing to do. But in point of fact, one of the things that's mentioned in the book is a study that was done by the New York Times, of all people, some years ago, where they tried to show the 10 poorest counties in the United States. And they mentioned which ones they were and so on. It turns out that 6 of those 10 counties had a population that was from 90% to 100% white. Now, in the New York Times, they didn't mention the race of the people, but once they told me the counties, I looked it up. And in fact, I followed the average income in those 6 counties over a span of 50 years. And in all those 50 years, all 6 of those counties had a median income lower than the median income of black Americans. Now, and so the people in those counties faced zero racism because they were white and indistinguishable from all other whites. They didn't have a legacy of slavery, and yet there they were. You have to ask then, clearly there must be other things that cause poverty. We can't just assume that because people of a given race have more poverty than some other people, that race must be the reason. But this has become the automatic kind of thing, and I think most people would be quite surprised. One of the things that happens is that behavior matters, and you see that in so many different ways. For example, I think most people would be surprised to learn that despite the fact that blacks as a whole have a higher poverty rate than whites as a whole, black married couple families have for more than a quarter of a century, every single year, had a poverty rate under 10%. And in most of those years, the national poverty rate was not as low as 10%. So it's not and you say, well, this is due to institutional racism. In that case, does that mean that the racists make an exception for blacks who are married? I mean, do racists either know or care whether blacks are married? None of these glib explanations stands up to the slightest empirical study.
And let's talk about this when it comes to minorities generally. You have an Asian population in this country that achieves a lot as a group, intellectually, education-wise, and they are discriminated against by these Ivy League colleges, by Harvard. We just had a Supreme Court decision and so forth, the way Jews were 100 years earlier, by Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and so forth. So the people who push this race issue, is it that they really care about black people or Asian people or Jewish people? Or is it that it's just another wedge issue to try and destroy this culture and destroy this society?
There are some people who are both. Some really believe it, and I feel sorry for them. But there are some who really don't care. If it gets them elected, that's what matters. And this is one of the tragedies of trying to politicize race. There are so many fallacies that it's hard to even know which one to take up. But for example, the great narrative is that blacks rose from poverty, got into professional occupations as a result of the 1960s social welfare programs, and that this has been a big benefit. One of the problems with this way of looking at things is that everything depends on when you pick as the start of this trend. If you go back to 1940, that is 20 years before these wonderful things are supposed to have happened in the 1960s, and you discover that the degree to which blacks were in poverty declined from 87% in 1940 to 47% in 1960. So it went down by 40 points in those 20 years. Now you look at the 20 years following 1960, they went down 18 points. And so the trend did not begin in the 1960s. The trend was there before then, and the trend did not even accelerate after 1960. Many people think that it would all begin with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Well, that was a fine act to get rid of the segregation laws in the South. But the cold fact is that the percentage of blacks who had professional occupations doubled from 1954 to 1964. That is in the decade ending at the time that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed. If you look at the things that are negative, like, for example, black children being raised in single-parent households. In 1940, just under 17% of black kids were raised in one-parent families. But after 1960s, before the end of the century, 4 times that many, 68% of black kids were being raised in one-parent families. And that does not depend on racism or any of the other things they talk about. It depends upon things that happened due to the policies of the 1960s, which are still going forward.
Which encourage the dissolution of the family. It's just unbelievable. Dr. Sullivan, when we return, my big question for you is, as a nation, where do we go from here? And how do we start down that road? We'll be right back.
And that was Dr. Thomas Sowell, an African-American, on the Life, Liberty, and Levin program on the Fox News channel. But Mr. Levin is also on WHBB every evening, Monday through Friday, I think 6 o'clock. And he has some very good programs. I like Mr. Levin, but there's a lot of points there that it caught my eye, because I do know I call them race pimps and race hustlers that will use race because they know that we're passionate about those issues, and many times bring up the worst possible images to get us enraged about some particular issue, and they're really just using it because they know that's the impact that it's going to have psychologically. He mentioned the Asian population. People forget that, or maybe a lot of people may not know, if you don't know history, that Chinese Americans had a very difficult time on the West Coast in California when they were discriminated against just as bad, if not worse, than African Americans were in the South. It was Chinese immigrants that helped build the railroads, that laid the railroad tracks in the West. And so look at what they've been able to do. They rose from being super discriminated against to now they're being discriminated against again by some of the higher so-called higher levels of education, because their work ethic, because the students study and are doing well academically, and they're doing better than most everybody else because of their work ethic, because of their habits. I remember the the little restaurant downtown here in Selma that used to be a Chinese food restaurant for years. And I would go in on a pretty regular basis, and other people would go on a regular basis. They had a lunch buffet, and it was a nice restaurant downtown. But I'll never forget that any afternoon I would go in after school, they had their children at a table studying, and they would get up and in between studying their homework and wait on tables. But the point was that they were there studying. And then I found out later that I believe they were A students. You've got to put some skin in the game. No sense in complaining. I won't complain until after I've done everything I can do. And then if the barriers are like unsurmountable or some unnatural way, that's different. But that rarely happens, you know. And so for those of us who like to play the victim card first, there are far too many examples. As Dr. Saul pointed out, before 1964, 17% of African American households were single family. After 1960, it went from 17% to 67%. Something happened in the 60s where we went from two-parent homes to single family. It went just the opposite. It reversed itself. That's food for thought. Let's take this last break, and I'll be back with more right after this.
We're back to our friends at Reliable Chevrolet and GMC. 80 years, Barry.
That's right, George. We've been right here at the same location at 14th Lawrence Street. Also the same family, the Porter family. Bill is here and has his two sons, John and Will, and soon they'll be taking over. So there'll be a third generation that has had the ownership of Reliable Chevrolet GMC.
Now let's talk about what's going on with Chevrolet and GMC. We're coming up on the end of the year. Big time discounts on these 25s that you got left.
That's right, George. We're moving them out right and left. If you're in the market for a 2025 model, let me encourage you to come down, get them while they're still available, because the 26s are here and we've got more coming. So we got to make room for what the rotation needs are. We take care of them right here, and let us get you fixed up so you can be riding today.
Not forget about the pre-owned side and service.
That's right. We've got all kind of makes and models on the pre-owned inventory, from cars to trucks to SUV. And when it comes to getting your vehicle serviced, we have the top service department in Central Alabama right here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC.
And is that fifth oil change still free?
Always free. Not just your first fifth, every fifth oil change. Regardless of how many vehicles you have in the family, each one stands on its own.
To get in touch with Reliable Chevrolet and GMC, what do we do?
872-2337, or check us out on our website at reliablegmc.com, or best, just come visit us right here at 14th Lawrence Street in downtown Selma.
At Reliable, where they truly have it all.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
There are only 4 seasons, and flu season does not have to be one of them. At the Selma Doctors Clinic, we are here to help keep you safe during this flu season. We're offering flu shots daily from 8 to 9 each morning and 1 to 2 each afternoon. Call us today at 874-9064 to make an appointment for that annual flu shot. Selma Doctors Clinic is located at 509 Parkman Avenue in the beautiful historical district in Selma. We have Dr. Park Chittum Sr., Dr. Park Chittum II, Dr. Daniel Crowler, and our nurse practitioner, Mary Elizabeth Schweitzer. Call us today at 874-9064 to schedule an appointment for your flu shot. And remember, walk-ins are always welcome. We are the Selma Doctors Clinic, where we are always here for you.
1490 WHBB. You know, as I was sitting here thinking about what Dr. Saul had to say about the two-family home. So what does that mean? Why is that important, right? That's really important. And again, you know, my condolences to the Mora family and the loss of their loved one, Mr. Fernandez Mora. But, you know, I remember the Moras. I remember their parents. And I laugh because I've had some pretty good times with them over the years. I really did enjoy some nice times with their parents. And I believe it was something like 11 or 13 children. And then all of their children have had children, and they've got grandchildren. And so over the weekend, when they had their funeral and evidently the repast, it must have been a whole block of folk. It looked like hundreds of folk, just there for the funeral. But that's family. But that's what family does, and that's what's missing. That's the culture that's missing. That's what a husband and wife produce if they're on the same page. And obviously the Moores were. I've forgotten how many years they were married. I don't know, it was 40 or 50 years. Some I said some crazy number, right? Well, no, I won't say it's crazy because I have to think about Mr. Charles and Applestein Johnson. I think they've celebrated their 50th or 55th wedding anniversary, and I know other examples. We have all kinds of examples around us where married people, they've been married for 30 and 40 and 50 years. Though that is the backbone of a community. That is the backbone of family, and that's what's missing in my opinion, in this new generation, this new freedom that many of us are advocating for. What they're really saying to me is, I want freedom from having to be responsible for what I do sexually. I want sexual freedom. I want the freedom to have to lay on my back or wherever, and have as many children as I can. Doesn't matter, or not have, or if I can, I'll abort them if necessary, so I don't have to be responsible. And if I can't abort them, if they make it here, then I don't really want to be responsible. I want the freedom to be able to do the sexual freedom to do that. So, in essence, in other words, from a historical standpoint, in the 60s, ushered in not just the voting rights movement and the civil rights movement, social revolution, but the sexual revolution was going on at the same time. And the feminist revolution was happening at the same time. Women who were saying, I want a profession. I don't want to be a mother. I want to be a professional, or I want to enjoy my sexual freedom. All these things happening at the same time. And what has it produced? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Although when I look around and see what is happening in California in some of their schools, and I look around and I see some of these mass shootings, and you study and find out what the people's background is, and you find out how they've been brought up and what their principles are or lack of. It answers a lot of questions. But anyway, so yeah. Anyway, you have yourself a safe and enjoyable day. Enjoy this weather. Thank you for listening. Our phone line should be back up tomorrow. Stay tuned for Fox News on WHBB Selma. And Fox News is next. It is 9 o'clock.
President Trump says there's nothing to hide. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Ahead of a House vote expected